This is a fictional mindbender. I recently finished binging the Netflix series House of Ninjas, and I confess I was originally expecting a somewhat campy Japanese action comedy about a ninja family with great fight scenes, and that was about it. The promos certainly depicted as much, for sure. However, I was actually surprised in that it turned out to be much more than that, at least according to my opinion. Now, I want to make this clear at the start that this video is not saying what the show's creators' intentions actually were. These are just impressions that I got, and whether or not they were intentional, low-key, or otherwise is secondary. So, what hit me about House of Ninjas is that I found it an easy allegory to many social situations and tropes in modern Japanese culture. Similar to how Brother Sun played on Taiwanese tropes and stereotypes, but this is much more low-key, itself also a Japanese stereotype. The show centers around a family of shinobi descended from the legendary 16th century shinobi and samurai Hattori Hanzo. They were supposed to be officially retired from active duty of serving a secret government department of shinobi affairs after a particularly disastrous mission 6 years ago, which results in the death of their eldest son, Gaku. As one might expect of shinobi, there is much more going on than meets the eye, with the family members not all being on the same page with this plan and what they want. And this results in them keeping secrets from each other, only occasionally hinting at the ongoing issues beneath the surface of their mass in front of each other. Regarding the tropes, no country has mastered the art of exporting its culture more than or better than Japan. Even more so given that it did so within 50 years after a devastating world war, and that certain words and phrases are now adopted within Western culture that are from Japan and or acknowledged to be at least of Japanese origin, such as samurai and the word kamikaze. Ninja and rival ninja clans at long-standing war with each other is another one of these exported tropes. Just look at the popular franchise Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to see this trope. House of Ninjas openly displays this exploitation of the culture, showing school children being entertained on a school trip with cosplaying ninjas, doing a dramatization of the clan rivalry between the Hanzo and Fuma clans. What it does, however, is show how much of this is actually fiction. Even the family matriarch, Grandma Tarawa, corrects Ruki, her grandson, telling him that the term ninja is not only wrong, but inappropriate and to not use it. The proper word being shinobi. And in real life, this is actually true. The term ninja only became associated with shinobi in the West after World War II. Again, part of Japan's exploitation of their culture. What's more, the show also depicts more actual shinobi techniques that were used, while also not entirely shying away from the classic black-clothed stealth killer theme on occasion. We see the family and their enemies, the Fumas, use more disguises, information gathering, and deception rather than sneaking around at night and stabbing people in the dark, which does happen, but not as much as you would think. It also characterizes the trope/stereotype of the shy Japanese male in the character of Haru, the second oldest son. When the show starts, he is depicted as a shy, introvert young man who clearly has skills but only uses them secretly from his co-workers. And after work, always hits up a ramen shop because he's illegally eating meat there, while also being interested in a young woman named Karen who also frequents the place. Both of these being illegal according to family tradition. Despite being obviously capable though, Haru has trouble mustering the courage to ask Karen out because of his social awkwardness as well as the rules and traditions. Like Jedi, they forbid their members from dating whom they choose and only have arranged marriages. Moreover, it's Karen who actually makes the first move, and it's part of her own agenda of following up a story she's doing on multiple deaths and disappearances in Japan. In other words, it's part of her job and career. So right there in this one relationship already, you have 3 or 4 stereotypes at work. While staying with Haru's family later on, Karen even picks on him a little bit about being a virgin after he tells her about the strict family rules before they actually have sex. We also see this dynamic play out with the young daughter, Nagi, who, while not having any romantic interests of her own, does have a young boy who's interested in her. However, when he makes a move on her while trying to hold hands during a field trip, she recoils and later tells him that relationships are forbidden, something that Nagi calls being weirdos. The parents, Saochi and Yoko, are at first very distant and cold with each other, with Saochi insisting on keeping the family heritage a secret while also trying to run a brewery like a quote-unquote normal family. However, Yoko is also wanting more and is easily recruited to secretly perform information gathering about the Fuma's plans. This included going out on a date with a man who later turns out to be a Fuma shinobi himself. However, none of this is known to her husband, this being the trope/stereotype of the cheating Japanese wife wanting excitement while the husband is too focused on his work to take notice. And while they clearly use modern technology in their operations, such as cell phones and vehicle tracking, the shinobi still refrain from using firearms, preferring the OG of shuriken and swords instead. Grandma even calls the use of modern technologies crap. All of these hint at the now largely known social issues within Japan regarding sex, family, work, and tradition. Tradition, while highly regarded and respected, is also depicted through the eyes of various family members as being constrained, highly restrictive, and lacking any self-will and autonomy. Anything they actually enjoy doing on their own time, they must do in secret from each other. And when what they are doing comes to light, they are actively corrected, or in the case of Haru and Karen's relationship, actively sabotaged. Something that actually rather pissed me off, actually. And all of this is despite the fact that these actions, once they do come to light, clearly improve family relations. Perhaps no two characters best embody this darker element than Gaku and Mukai, the government head of shinobi affairs. Gaku was thought to have died, as I said earlier, 6 years ago, but instead is revealed to have been brainwashed by the Fumas into eventually turning on his family and the Japanese government. When asked by Haru later on why he's betraying his family, Gaku replies that the Fuma clan had revealed the truth to him about how the descendants of Hattori Hanzo had been nothing but lapdogs to the government, who demanded obedience without question, and that this hid their own hypocrisy. And that their family tradition only served to strengthen that slavery. And this was why the Fuma clan, in contrast, actually refuses to bow down to anyone and will only kill whom they decide to kill, not whom they are told to kill, which was classic shinobi tradition. So in other words, to somewhat quote the Star Wars franchise, this is classic dark side stuff, and I must say it's much better done as well, because Haru of all people knows this to be true given what happened between him and Karen. Mukai is seemingly the bumbling but master manipulator of this whole agenda, having manipulated several family members into spying for him without Saochi's knowledge and dissolving Haru's relationship with Karen under the pain of death. Gaku and Mukai are two sides of the same coin, with Gaku, who was once the most loyal follower of the old ways, repudiating it because of its hidden agendas and hypocrisy, while Mukai upholds it without question and is even willing to threaten the lives of others in order to maintain it. So, essentially, like true shinobi, while being on the surface a typical Japanese action show with ninjas and swords, House of Ninja is actually felt more like a low-key commentary on the pressures within Japanese culture itself. The struggle to maintain their identity and who and what they are, while also facing the tribulations of a changing world that values much more personal freedom and living their best lives. How does a Japanese person learn to value their own identity, enjoyment, and sexuality when living under what seems to be the constant scrutiny and at-the-ready social criticism by their history and tradition? A tradition, while preserving successfully centuries-old ways and having adapted well enough up to a point, also makes those under it feel weak or impotent, or at worst, lacking any kind of morality because they dare to challenge it. And yes, I also realize that this within itself is a stereotype, but you get the point. There's an old Japanese saying that I learned some time ago that goes, "The nail that sticks out gets hammered." And I feel that House of Ninjas now calls out this trope and questions that status quo. But that being said, what are your thoughts? Did you think House of Ninjas was just a regular ninja show about a family of ninjas fighting each other? Or did you think it was something more? Did you think it was kind of dumb and just didn't enjoy it at all? Or did you actually like the show because it had really good fight scenes? Let me know in the comments below, but otherwise, this is the Fictional Mindbender, and you guys have a good day.